Caitlin Clark sends supportive message to Colts after impressive comeback against Broncos. Indianapolis Fever point guard Caitlin Clark has been sidelined for 2 months with a groin injury, and it was announced last week that she won't be returning this season. The team has done an incredible job of keeping things afloat without their superstar, securing a playoff spot in her absence. Clark's budding Indiana sports fandom. Clark has been a huge supporter of the other Indiana sports teams since her arrival on the Fever last year, frequently showing up to their sporting events. She attended a number of games during the Indiana Pacers' unexpected run to the NBA Finals, and her commitment to the other teams has only grown while she's been injured. Although she wasn't in attendance, she complimented the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday after their game against the Denver Broncos. "Jonathan Taylor is like that. Big win for the Colts," said Clark. The Colts running back had a monster day on the ground, rushing for 165 yards on 25 carries and playing a major role in his team's comeback. The Broncos led for much of the day, but 9 unanswered second-half points allowed Indianapolis to win the game in thrilling fashion. The offense wasn't as good as last week when they annihilated the Miami Dolphins 33-8, but Denver has a much stronger defense, so Sunday's game was arguably more impressive. The Colts have jumped out to their first 2-0 start in over 15 years in what has been a career renaissance for quarterback Daniel Jones so far. The former first-round pick has thrown for 588 yards and 2 passing touchdowns through 2 games this season. Even more impressive, he's been incredibly accurate and limited his turnovers, both of which had been major concerns for him in the past. The Colts made the tough decision to start Jones over Anthony Richardson, who was expected to be the team's franchise quarterback, and the decision is paying dividends so far. With a relatively easy schedule in front of them, Indianapolis could be poised for a return to the playoffs for the first time in 5 seasons. The glow of victory under the Monday night lights had barely settled over Lucas Oil Stadium when another kind of light, this one digital, flashed across Indiana. Not from the field, but from a phone screen, where Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever's magnetic rookie superstar and newly anointed face of women's basketball, typed a message to her city's NFL brothers. The Colts had just pulled off a comeback that sent their fans into euphoria. Down double digits against the Denver Broncos, they clawed back with a mixture of grit, trickery, and a refusal to die quietly. By the time the final whistle blew, Indianapolis had a win not just on the scoreboard, but in the soul of a city that had been waiting for a football moment like this. Clark, who was nursing an injury that kept her off the court, watched from her living room, draped in a Fever hoodie, her golden retriever curled at her feet. She didn't just watch, though, she lived every snap. She clenched her fists at every third down stop. She gasped at the interception that set up the comeback drive. And when the final touchdown sealed it, she leapt from the couch with the same unfiltered joy that fans across Indiana felt. Moments later, she picked up her phone and posted to X. "That's how you fight for a city. What a comeback, Colts. Indy proud tonight. Blue Heart American Football # for the shoe." The post went viral instantly, not because athletes don't often support one another, but because Caitlin Clark isn't just another athlete. She has become a symbol. The symbol of Indiana. Indiana has always prided itself on basketball, high school gyms packed to the rafters, Hoosier legends written into the state's folklore, the echo of sneakers on hardwood as much a part of life as church bells or factory whistles. But Caitlin Clark, arriving with the Fever in 2024, reignited something deeper. She carried with her the sharpshooting audacity of Reggie Miller, the cultural magnetism of Peyton Manning, and the bold charisma of someone unafraid to demand attention not just for herself, but for her sport. So when Clark speaks, or tweets, Indiana listens. Her supportive message to the Colts wasn't a casual afterthought. It was a passing of energy, a recognition that in a city known for both hoops and pigskin, their triumphs are intertwined. Indianapolis doesn't need one hero. It needs a tapestry of them, woven together to remind the world that Midwestern loyalty isn't a marketing slogan, but a heartbeat. The game that sparked it all. The comeback itself will live in Colts lore. The Broncos, riding high after 2 consecutive wins, came into Lucas Oil Stadium confident. By halftime, they led by 14. Their defense had smothered Indianapolis's young quarterback, and Denver's running game chewed up clock with cruel efficiency. The stadium felt heavy until the third quarter. That's when the Colts' defense flipped the script, forcing a fumble at midfield. The energy shifted, the fans rose, and the comeback machine began to hum. The Colts quarterback, previously harassed, suddenly looked composed. He found his receivers in tight windows, marched the team downfield, and capped it with a touchdown that sent shockwaves through the dome. From there, every possession felt like destiny leaning in Indy's favor. The final drive, a no-huddle masterpiece that ended with a back-shoulder throw into the end zone, wasn't just about football. It was about belief. When the scoreboard read Colts 31, Broncos 28, Indianapolis knew it had witnessed something more than a game. It had witnessed resilience. Clark's message resonates. Caitlin Clark's tweet ricocheted beyond sports circles. Local news anchors mentioned it in broadcasts. The Colts' official account reposted it with the caption, "Appreciate you, Caitlin. Let's keep making Indy proud together." Fever teammates joked about her being the Colts' good luck charm. But to fans, her message carried weight. It was as though the two major franchises of Indianapolis were linking arms. Both had young cores, both were fighting uphill battles, and both had been dismissed nationally at times. Yet here was Clark, already a global star, reminding everyone that pride in place matters. Why this moment mattered? Sports thrives on moments of shared identity. When LeBron James cheered for the Cleveland Browns, it wasn't about wins or losses, it was about a city uniting. When Steph Curry donned a Panthers jersey, it was about bridging communities through passion. Clark's message fit that lineage, but with an extra spark. She's new to Indianapolis, still building her legacy, yet she's already become an adopted daughter of the city. Her voice doesn't just echo within Gainbridge Fieldhouse, it spills into Lucas Oil, onto Monument Circle, and through the neighborhoods where kids shoot hoops in alleys and toss footballs in backyards. For a generation of young Hoosiers, Caitlin Clark cheering for the Colts isn't just a tweet. It's a signal, we're all in this together. Echoes of Peyton and Reggie. Longtime fans couldn't help but draw parallels. Peyton Manning was once the quarterback who embodied Indiana's grit. Reggie Miller was the assassin who turned Market Square Arena into a fortress. Both weren't just athletes, they were civic heroes. Clark, though from Iowa, carries the same aura. And now, in cheering on the Colts, she stepped into a tradition that those legends had forged, Indy stars uplifting Indy stars. The Fever connection. Interestingly, the Fever themselves had endured their own comeback arc earlier in the season.